the Greek mythology character Midas, everything he touched would turn to gold? Well, I think Logan Paul has the opposite of whatever that is, because earlier this week, Coffeezilla dropped this video, and then he filed this answer to Paul's defamation lawsuit. I already covered the answer in a live video on Wednesday, and if you haven't seen it, check it out. But now it's time to tackle Coffeezilla's video, or more specifically, the allegations at the end of it. That's right, your favorite YouTube lawyer, nope, not that one, right here, focus, right here, focus, is breaking down Ontario Security Commission's application for enforcement proceeding against Liquid Marketplace and its owners and chief officers. And by the end of this video today, we are going to know for sure if calling the victims of this alleged fraud Logan Paul's victims is or is not defamation. Now, you might have heard me say Ontario just a second ago and assumed that I made a mistake. Unfortunately, I have not. I never have. Well, I have before. Actually, I have a lot, but not this time. This proceeding was filed in Canada, and I don't even know where that is, by the Ontario Securities Commission. Now, as America's attorney, you can see why this would be somewhat difficult for me, but the allegations in the OSC's filing are very similar to some of the ones that we've covered in the crypto space on this American YouTube channel many, many times. In fact, it's not really an oversimplification to point out that the securities policing structure of Canada is somewhat based on the structure of the U.S. Enforcement Agency. We almost invented securities here in the U.S. I mean, don't get me started on the Dutch and their tulips. We didn't invent it, but we surely have the highest volume, richest, and most liquid security exchanges in the world. And those things need to be policed. And despite what both political parties say, they both love big government, and we have a lot of agencies everywhere, and we likely need them because people are always trying to get away with criming their fellow man. And so we have federal and state agencies that all work to regulate securities, and Canada has the OSC, which is like our SEC. And the OSC has made public its investigation that could lead to a U.S. investigation, although likely there is already a U.S. investigation, because if you read the fine print, it's clear that the Canadian OSC has access to U.S. banking records, which they can get only by working with U.S. agencies. So yes, there could be a Part 2 U.S. addition to this Liquid Marketplace enforcement action. What exactly is Liquid Marketplace? Sounds like some kind of sports drink, but no. According to the OSC, the Liquid Marketplace business promotes and sells crypto assets that purportedly represent fractional ownership of valuable collectibles, LMP tokens. The collectibles include trading cards and digital assets such as non-fungible tokens, NFTs, which are purportedly fractionalized into LMP tokens. Essentially, a place where people can buy a share of a collectible called an LMP token. These tokens can then be traded on the Liquid Marketplace. It's important to mention that in their filing, the OSC only names Liquid Marketplace Inc., Liquid Marketplace Corp., Ryan Bahadouri, Amin Nickdell, and Dennis Damazet. Bahadouri and Nickdell are co-founders and chief officers of Liquid Marketplace, and Damazet is the former CFO and ongoing advisor. Notably missing from this cast of characters is your boy, Logan Paul. So where does Logan tie into this mess? Well, as Logan Paul has stated himself many times, he is a co-founder of the Liquid Marketplace platform.
Y'all, so you may have seen me introduce myself as a co-founder of Liquid Marketplace.
Platform that I co-founded called Liquid Marketplace. As a co-founder of Liquid Marketplace.
So why isn't he named on the filing? Well, not all co-founders are created equal. Not all co-founders are equally involved in creation. And so if, and I'm just spitballing here, Logan was brought in to be the silky-throated spokestoad for the business, he may not have had involvement with the illegal activities, alleged illegal activities, other than the Logan Paul usual, which is to be their business partner. The allegations in the OSC application are not vague. They're not conjecture. They're not about the character of the charlatans of the business. No, I'm not allowed to say that. That's not right. They're not about the character of the founders of the business. That sounds better. Who might be charlatans? Because the complaint details very specific transactions and movements of money very scam-like behavior. And now we can finally get into what exactly Liquid Marketplace is being accused of. The OSC filing claims that Liquid Marketplace committed fraud on share and note purchasers through hidden payments to LMP Principal's shell companies and personal loans to Bahadori and Nickdale, and fraud on token purchasers because LMP tokens do not represent legal ownership of collectibles, nor do they authenticate, appraise, or insure the collectibles. The filing also accuses the three executives of making misleading statements to the Ontario Security Commission. Then there's the unregistered trading, the illegal distribution, unlawful operation of a marketplace, and authorizing, permitting, or acquiescing in breaches of Ontario securities law. I mean, they packed a lot into this 15-page filing. And since I'm not in the habit of posting hour-long videos, for now, today we will focus on the major allegations: the fraud on purchasers of shares and notes, and on token purchasers. Share and note purchasers are defined in the filing as investors who bought common shares and promissory notes in LMP. The filing accuses LMP of defrauding these purchasers through the misuse of their funds. More specifically, the filing says that between March of 21 and August of 22, LMP raised about $6.8 million US, and since June of 23, they've raised at least another $1.4 million. This isn't even including what they raised in Canada, which brings us to the shell companies. According to the filing, each executive had their own consulting company to which they would make hidden payments. Cooney Industries Inc. for Bahadori, Cooney Marketing Inc. for Nickdale, and Cooney Management Corp. for Damazet. These guys are Cooney geniuses. In total, the LMP principals, Bahadori, Nickdale, and Damazet, authorized approximately $2.5 million in payments to the LMP principals' Cooney companies. There was no business purpose for the payments to the Cooney companies. There are no consulting services agreements between LMP and any of the Cooney companies, and the services purportedly provided to LMP by the Cooney companies were identical to the pre-existing roles and responsibilities of the LMP principals, for which they were already earning generous salaries. The LMP principals did not disclose their Cooney company payments to actual or prospective share and note purchasers. This is all messed up in a bunch of ways, not the least of which is the basic rules around disclosure to customers and prospective customers and truth-telling with the commission. Because, according to the application, the guys, they lied about their compensation, trying to hide what appears to add up to, $2.5 million of additional compensation. If you're asking,
but Josh, would this break U.S. laws as well?
The answer is, duh, yeah, because the regulatory frameworks are largely duplicative. It's basically a foregone conclusion that the violations would overlap in every meaningful way except one. These guys have not allegedly lied to U.S. investigators that we know of. One of the truisms in life is that there's no situation that's so bad that you can't make it worse by lying. And when you're dealing with investigators who have a charter from a government, and part of that charter criminalizes lying to the investigators, well, you stepped in it. And in the most painful sort of gotcha moment in the retelling of the investigation as laid out in the complaint, the founders lied about the money that they had taken out of the business, which, remember, taking the money out would likely not be illegal if it were both disclosed and then not covered up. But then when they were confronted with the receipts, they, according to the complaint, they backtracked and basically admitted that they had been lying. Rats! But other than that set of violations, pretty much everything else is going to be repeatable as a charge. Again, these are not criminal charges in any U.S. enforcement action. They are civil charges. But look, this was 2021. We were all so young. We didn't know that crypto was a security, and we were all just trying to avoid COVID and trying to avoid avoiding COVID. It was tough. Didn't we all raise millions of dollars to fractionalize Pokemon cards while injecting liquidity into the high end of the collectible marketplace? I mean, I did. You probably did too. Where was I? Oh yeah. Fraud. The consulting fees. But those weren't the only way that fraud was committed on the share and note purchasers, according to the application, because Bahadori and Nickdale also took out personal loans using investor funds. Guys. In total, at least $550,000 of investor funds were received by Bahadori and Nickdale by way of, among other things, number one, nearly $500,000 worth of loans made to Bahadori for personal use, and number two, advances to Bahadori, approximately $56,000, and Nickdale, approximately $37,000 to fund their personal LMP platform accounts. These loans and advances have not been repaid. And then, I guess to make the math make sense, many of Bahadori's personal expenditures were written off by periodically offsetting them against amounts purportedly owing to Bahadori's Cooney Company. Now, by December of 2022, Bahadori and/or his Cooney Company still owed LMP over $286,000 for personal expenses. To write off this outstanding loan, the LMP principals declared a notional bonus from LMP to Bahadori's Cooney Company for the exact amount Bahadori just happened to owe LMP, and then used the bonus to offset Bahadori's outstanding loan owed to LMP. Wow, how kind of Bahadori's business to give Bahadori's other business a bonus. Just keep in mind, in most circumstances, this sort of thing, it wouldn't even necessarily be illegal. It's just illegal to not disclose it. Now, before you go rely on what I'm saying here and go defraud a bunch of your investors, keep in mind that I'm not now, nor have I ever been, a white-collar criminal defense attorney, and I'm not here to help you fleece your investors. But I am telling you that this is one of those situations where it's the secrecy and the cover-up that's the real legal issue, as it would be here in the US. And all of this is without even getting into the fraud on token purchasers, the customers. According to the filing and most advertising for the business, LMP led token purchasers, which is just people who purchase tokens, aka shares of a collectible, to believe that the tokens that they were purchasing gave them real legal ownership of a share of the collectible. I mean, that's their entire business model. However, the OSC is alleging that LMP has only entered into 6 listing agreements out of the 37 collectibles listed on the LMP platform. Wow. These listing agreements are what transfers the legal ownership of the collectibles to the LMP token, which is then purchased by a token purchaser. But if the LMP platform never held ownership of the collectible, it kind of seems like it just took people's money. LMP claimed that the collectible would only move out of the marketplace after all the tokens or shares were sold. But the OSC believes and has alleged that the LMP moved collectibles out of the marketplace before they were sold out and just gave themselves the unsold tokens. And that's just the half of it. The OSC is also alleging that despite telling token purchasers that LMP authenticates, appraises, and insures and stores the collectibles, they in fact did not. LMP does not authenticate the collectibles, does not have the credentials to perform such authentications, and does not coordinate the authentication of the collectibles by any qualified third party. LMP does not appraise or otherwise ensure the fair valuation of the collectibles. Rather, LMP accepts whatever price is stipulated by collectors who profit from the sale of the LMP tokens for their collectibles. LMP does not insure the collectibles and has failed to ensure that the collectibles stored in third-party vaults are covered by any insurance. LMP stores some of the collectibles in a Canadian safe deposit box. LMP has no insurance over the collectibles in the Canadian safe deposit box and has relied on third-party vaults insurance without confirming whether or to what extent any vault insurance covers the collectibles stored in their vaults. So essentially, LMP has no idea if a collectible is real or not. They don't know the actual value of the collectible. And if the collectible is destroyed, the token purchaser is essentially screwed, allegedly. Look, you don't gotta be America's attorney to know that this sort of securities fraud is just as illegal here in the US as it is in the land of our gentle friends to the north. So again, these allegations, you could basically just copy and paste them into a US enforcement action if you were the US SEC and you were looking for some low-life thugs to take down. I mean, alleged thugs, alleged lowlifes. What we will see here in this Canadian case is a consent decree. Everything's documented. There's no more secrets. There won't be a trial. They will just negotiate the best deal that they can get, and then these 3 guys will likely take their lumps. It is very unlikely that any investor or victim will get fully compensated. Usually when people steal money, it's gone within minutes, and that seems to be the case here, where money was spent on things like rent, luxuries, and something called jewelry, but spelled with 2 L's, because that's how the Canadians spell it in their complaint. Twice. I mean, that can't be a typo. So I went to ChatGPT and I asked the platform, and it just didn't answer the question, how do Canadians spell jewelry? Whole thing was weird. But let's make no mistake. We're all here for one reason. Because we, kind of hate Logan Paul. So while he is not mentioned in this filing, could he still be liable? Does this 3rd or 4th allegedly scammy crypto venture officially make him a serial scammer? Well, Probably not is the answer to the first question. There's simply no reason to believe that Logan was in on the transactions and the frauds that are the subject of the complaint, according to how the complaint explains what happens. So does that make it libelous or defamatory to call the customers of and investors in liquid marketplace Logan Paul's victims? That is the real question. Because the reason that any of us know who or what liquid marketplace is and likely how they got their investors and their customers was through the promotion achieved through their association with none other than Logan Paul. He doesn't scam anyone. He just does business with people that scam anyone. It's a pattern, or what's that thing called? A serial. But before I call Logan Paul a serial scammer, I just want to point out that a scam is a different thing to different people. But if government agencies shut a business down and ban certain people from other activities, that's fairly scammy. I'm on team scam here. I am saying this: if someone invested their money into liquid marketplace because of the social influence exerted by social influencer Logan Paul, then yes, that person is Logan Paul's victim, even if Logan Paul is not the one who's going to sign a consent decree to be shut down. There, I said it. Logan Paul, you're a serial scammer. Come and get me. While I didn't cover every single aspect of the OSC's filing, that's the gist of it. The big scary threat that coffeezilla believes that Logan Paul was trying to silence him over. I sure hope this video doesn't get a lot of traction, or else I might get something in the mail from Logan Paul's lawyers. That being said, make sure you like and subscribe and drop your pro se opinion down below. What are your thoughts on the OSC's allegations? Do you think Logan Paul holds any liability despite not being named in the filing? I want to know what you think, so comment and I will be back soon. See you then. But if you're asking, no, it's not but. From the sale of the LMP tokens, you're gonna have to cut all that out. It's garbage.